All right, so welcome everybody. This is Missy Hydes, and this is our weekly team huddle. And just for time purposes, it's January 28th, 2018. I can't believe it. This is already our last huddle for January 2018. That's crazy to me how quickly these months fly by. But I am just super excited to have a guest trainer tonight. As you guys know, really my desire is just to be consistently exposing you all to just what's possible, what is happening not only within Arbonne, but happening within maybe people's stories that you can relate to. And I think it's really important. I've been in Arbonne a long time, and I think one of the things that I have most appreciated is just the variety of people. I'll never forget the very first Discover Arbonne I walked into, and when I left, I had a confidence of what I had said yes to was possible for me, because I sat in a room full of people and most of them didn't look like me. Most of them weren't my age. Most of them just, I loved that variety and feeling like at the age at that time of 24, like, oh gosh, like this lady's 40 years older than me. This lady's 2 years younger than me. This gal works full time. This gal's home with kids, like just all different kinds of shapes, colors, sizes, professions. I thought that that was so valuable. And so I want to just help expose that for our team as we grow. And so I have the great pleasure of introducing Miss Shannon Wenzel. And Shannon, I did not get like a little bio on you. So we would love to kind of hear all of your Arbonne accolades and any special awards you have or anything like that. But what I am just excited to hear from her, I will tell you guys how we got connected, is I just connect up with NVPs as I kind of see them being their presence on Facebook. And I loved her tone, her styling. If you guys aren't friends with her, I'm going to encourage you after tonight to friend her. She has just a great sense about her on social media. It's very, I don't know, Shannon, I think you have a great ability of letting people kind of see your life, but at the same time, it's really subtle in what you do as far as Arbonne. It's a really well-rounded kind of picture of your life, being a mom, being a farmer's wife, living in a smaller town in Midwest America, all of those things. And I just love it. And so she also promoted to national vice president this past early summer, I think, if I'm looking at my timeline right. And so I just reached out to her and I just said, I love what you're doing. And she's just been really just a great kind of mentor and friend. And she's just been so generous. And so I asked her if she would be willing to do a little call for us. And she said, yes, absolutely. And so I'm excited for her to share. And I got a notebook ready to take some notes. So Shannon, I'm going to toss over to you and let you take it away.
Oh, guys, thank you so much. Honestly, one of the humbling things about Arbonne is that people think that you have something to say. But that's also one of the great things is the culture of Arbonne. Somebody who's with another company said to me, well, you share with other people's teams? And I was like, oh my gosh, all the time. And people share with me. Like they said, they tell you how to be successful. And I was like, yes, does that not happen? No, it's a really special cultural thing of Arbonne that people are so willing to help and to give their time. And I really thought that that's how everybody is. And I'll tell you right now, that is apparently not how all companies are. So it's so special. And it's one of the things I really appreciate most about us. And I just love that. So thank you for having me. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I know sometimes there's a lot of things to be on. I know in my team, there's a lot of things to be on and you both love it. And it's both difficult. Like Missy said, if you have sick kids, you guys all have your own schedules. I know Sunday night is like getting hit in the face sometimes, especially if you got kiddos going back to school. So I appreciate that you guys are here and plugged in, and it's exciting. It's exciting for me to meet new people and to get to see you guys. This is one of my very favorite parts of Arbonne. I'll say that more than once tonight. I'm not lying any of the times I say it. I just have a lot of favorite parts. So like Missy said, I am Shannon Wenzel. My husband and I farm in the northwest corner of Illinois. I'm using the word we very, very liberally there. He farms. I don't. He farms with his family. He's the 8th generation or so farming. Somebody just said, that can't be right. The United States isn't 8 generations old. We counted in the family history, and it goes all the way back to Germany, not in the United States. So that's where we think we are. But anyway, he is from a long, long tradition of farmers. Let's see, we've got 5 children who are 12, 10, 8, 7, 5, and 3. No, gosh, 12, 10, 8, 7, and 5. I'm off my game. Usually they're all evens or all odds, but now they're in a couple weeks where they're all messed up. And we do some foster care. So a lot of times this year we had 2 more babies who were with us who were a newborn and a 2-year-old. So kind of we fluctuate a little bit. I went to law school after college, and if you told me I'd be doing this, this is like the last thing on earth I ever thought I would be doing. But let's see. I just really love what I was doing, and I was unexpectedly pregnant with my first baby. And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't ready to start staying home. And so I thought I'm going to get a nanny because this is going to be the best possible childcare situation, right? I don't even have to get her up and out of the house. Well, it's great, but I came home every day and the nanny would be like, well, I brought her to the pool, I brought her to the library, I did this. And that was good. And it's like so good to have a good nanny, but you're also kind of like, or at least I was kind of like, I kind of want to be doing those things. Like, why am I going to work to pay you to do the things that I want to be doing, right? So then I hit on my genius plan that I was going to go part-time. And everyone thinks law firms are so evil. The firm was great to me about it. Everything was great. This is the worst of both worlds, you guys. You think it's going to be the best of both worlds. It is not. When no one else is part-time, they still want their brief tomorrow, even though you are not working tomorrow. You don't work Thursdays. Nobody cares about that at a law firm. So what that really looked like was working from home for 2 days for free with your baby and then going to work for 3 days and still not getting really to spend the amount of time you wanted to spend. And honestly, I just felt like I was not giving my best in either place is what it came down to. So ultimately I decided to become a stay-at-home mom, and then we moved to the farm. I had a whole lot more babies and we started homeschooling. So I was very busy. I had a pretty full life. If you guys aren't familiar with farming, my husband's gone about 6 months of the year. He's gone 7 days a week. It's a very, very time consuming. It's a lifestyle. It's nowhere near a job. It's the closest thing I've ever seen is military. Is just he's gone quite a bit. And that left me alone with a lot of babies. So I was pretty much up to my chin in the water as it was. But I had a girlfriend at church, like many of us, and she was looking really good after she had her last baby. So I did that thing that we all do where you're like, hey, what are you doing? And she said, oh, well, I have this nutrition business. No, it's this nutrition program and I have this business. And I was like, oh crap. Because you know, as soon as you ask, you have to be a good friend and start supporting her business. Well, I was positive that I hated stuff like this, you guys. I was thinking everybody was sad. Everyone knew this was super sad. They were uneducated. They maybe made $50 a month at the very most. And they spent way more than that with the company because they had all these minimum sales and all this stuff, right? Like I really had a narrative going in my brain about what this was like. But I'll tell you, this girl, and if you guys know her, it's ENVP Nikki Smith. It's who I'm direct to. Kind of like disrupted. It disrupted the narrative I had in my head. She wasn't like that. And she made me wonder, why would somebody like this do that, right? So ultimately I started buying some things for her and I was shocked at how much I liked them, because the other thing that I really thought is if this stuff was any good, they would sell it in a store, right? So for a long, long time, I was a product user. And since we moved to the farm, I was driving 30 minutes one way to get to a tiny, tiny Aldi grocery store, right? So I'm from Chicago. My parents live right next to Wrigley Field. And I was used to being able to like walk to the Nordstrom, Sephora and buy the best products in the world. And when I moved to the farm, obviously that was not my situation anymore. So I would just grab stuff from Nikki. But I was such a skeptic. I made her let me try everything, literally every single thing before I bought it. You guys, I don't think I ever in 5 years became a PC. I'm almost positive I only bought when she had sales. But to my surprise, I loved everything. I thought it was better than what I was using. I could not figure that out. This whole thing was blowing my mind at the time. But like many of us, I didn't spend any time thinking about this. Like I really, it was just like, the foundation I was using, the products I was using. I spent zero time thinking about it. But ultimately it came a point where she said, honey, I do not have samples of everything. And you guys, this was like 5 years in, probably like 5 years of us being acquaintances and stuff at church. And she said, you're going to have to either have a party or come to a party. And I was like, fine. So I had a party at my house and I was totally that girl who was like, girls, come over for some wine. This crazy girl is going to give us facials. That might be fun. You don't have to buy anything. Really, I'm pretty sure I set it up exactly like that. So I saw what she did and I was like, oh, well, that was not what I thought you did at all. So I knew that they had 5 Arbonne Mercedes in her family. So 2 sisters, 2 sister-in-laws, and their mother-in-law all had an Arbonne Mercedes. And I did not care at all. Like I truly did not care. I wasn't curious about it. I didn't care. But after that night at my house, when I really saw what she did, really like it was educating me on some stuff that I was like, I'm kind of glad you said that. And then I'm also totally pushed with my phone. Like, is that true? Okay. Is that true? Okay. But then I just saw she was like sharing something. The way she explained it is like, I have this thing I love and I share it. So I'm an oldest child. I am bossy as all get out. If you go look at my Facebook from before I was with Arbonne, I'm just bossing you around all the time. I'm telling you who the best babysitter is, where to get your hair cut. Did you know this was on sale at the Aldi? Like, that's just my personality. And once I saw that's all she was doing, I was like, oh, I could do that. So I just kind of jumped in with zero expectations of anything. People always say, like, you have to know your why. Well, I already had plenty of time, man. I was homeschooling my kids. Good Lord knows we were all together all the time, which I love, but time was not a thing I needed. And I thought we had enough money. We didn't, but I thought at the time we did. So I didn't really have a why, but I needed something. I think I was so hungry for purpose. I think number one, I was curious about Nikki because I saw her doing a lot of things and acting in a lot of ways that didn't make sense to me, right? She was that kind of girl, the girl that I'd seen do all these other kind of things, jumping ship from business to business, being kind of drama-y on Facebook, you know, like all the things that you think. Then why was she doing this? And she was never that girl. I watched her on Facebook. This is the other thing I tell people all the time. I watched her on Facebook for that full 5 years. If she had done one crazy thing on Facebook, I would not be on her team right now. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't do drama at all. One instance of vague booking, crazy political posting, anything that was crazy and unfounded, I would not be with Arvon. That's just the God's honest truth. So be real careful what you do. That's one of the reasons I'm really passionate about social media. And I won't say that I'm particularly good at it or perfect at it. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who've decided not to join my team because of things that I've said, but that's something that I keep in mind. So anyway, ultimately I joined and I was just really lucky to be like, I was so stupid, like ignorance on fire, like they say, but have people join my team right away. And so ultimately I went from nothing to district in 5 weeks, and then to area in 4 months, RVP in 10 months, and then national vice president in exactly 3 years. So I know some people love knowing that. Some people don't care about that. Some teams are all about knowing that. It was really just, I was very focused the whole time. I'm not afraid to work harder than anybody else. Like, it's my life motto. If you guys know that Will Smith quote, like, the only difference between me and the other guy is I am not afraid to die on the treadmill. If it comes down to hard work, I'm going to win, right? If it comes down to talent I have none of, right? So I was thinking before Arvon, like, I could have started a business. What could I do? Well, you guys, I have no special talents whatsoever. None. Like, just none. I don't. I'm not good at sports. I can't teach music. Like, none of the things you think of. I can't teach art. I can't do anything. I just don't have those. But this I can be good at. So anyway, I just was really passionate about what we were doing, and I was really willing to work super hard. And I think that's a big part of my story and a big part of what I like to do, and just being really consistent. What I find on my team now is when people start to struggle and they're kind of at the district manager-ish level, or they're at the district going area level, it's because they work really hard about 1 day a week, and then the other 6 days a week they kind of forget about it, or they let the tyranny, the urgent kind of push it off their plate, which is so easy to do. And I was just really blessed as a young mom to be spoken into by a Bible study leader about the tyranny of the urgent, because I was feeling like I did not put my butt in a chair for 18 hours a day, right? When all my babies were babies, I think I had 5 under 6 or 5 under 7. It was insane, you guys. I don't even know how I did it now. But I also felt like I was getting nothing done. And I know sometimes if you're especially a young mom, you feel like that too. And that's called tyranny of the urgent. You literally worked all day. You did not sit down. You probably didn't even get a chance to eat or use the bathroom. But you also look around and you got not a single thing done that you can hold on to with both hands. And that was one of the things that Arvon really filled a need for me, is I had something that I could check off. Like, I had a goal, it had a number on it, and I could achieve it. And that was really helpful for me. But one of the things I see where people struggle kind of in that time is consistency. And I just was taught really early on to be very consistent. And I think that's one of the reasons why we had a lot of success early on. And then the other thing that I think is really different about me and about some leaders on my team is I'm built more like a man. So I know that sounds really bad, but like emotionally, I don't have girl things. I spend literally 0 time thinking about what people think about me. Like, it doesn't even come to my mind. It's not that I don't care. Well, I really don't care, but it just doesn't even come to my mind. So that really allows me to be very confident all the time and to speak confidently, because I just don't have that small worry inside me. And I can't take any credit for that. Like, I was just born that way. I don't know, but that's just how I am. So that's another like small thing that I think allowed us to be successful early on, is that even though I had no idea what I was doing in like my earliest spa parties, people would ask me questions about ingredients and stuff, you guys, and I would be like, it didn't bother me. Like, I didn't feel like a sense of shame, and I didn't feel like I needed to know everything before I did it. I just started doing stuff. And let me tell you, if you want to learn how to, just start doing it, and you will figure it out through doing it. So that's a little bit about me. I just got a couple of things. Missy said you guys wanted to hear about kind of like DM to AM, AM to RVP, RVP to MVP, kind of some things that happened in the middle there and some tips and stuff. So I think really at the consultant to district manager to area manager level, the biggest thing is, are you the kind of person who, when people look around and they think they hate network marketing, are you the kind of person that makes them go, well, I'm positive that I'm right. All these companies really suck. But why is that girl doing it? Like, that girl is living her life in a way that doesn't make sense then. When you're at that stage of your business, the best thing you can do is teach yourself to be the kind of person that makes people curious. So are you steady? Like, are you jumping between company and company because you didn't have fast enough success? Or are you staying in? Like, are you dancing with the one who brought you? Arbonne is the one who brought you, right? So we just had a new consultant on our team asking about kids probiotics on Facebook. Bless her heart. We have probiotics, right? Just really master stuff like that, so you're not putting yourself out there in public in a way that makes it look like either, number one, you don't know what you're doing, or number two, you're going to use products that other companies have that Arbonne has, right? You can totally use, I don't know, Stella and Dot jewelry, right? This is from Stella and Dot. I love it. You want to know why? Arbonne does not sell jewelry. Totally fine. Totally fine. Maybe even like a Norwex face cloth. Totally fine. But don't go asking about face wash. It diminishes your credibility. So really build yourself into somebody who's steady, who's credible, who's professional, who lives out the values of Arbonne. So it is really, really hard to talk to people about healthy living if they watch you on a regular basis, like as a lifestyle, stuffing your family full of things like Twinkies and beer and pop. Like that's really a hard sell for them because you're diminishing your credibility. Of course, occasionally you're going to watch me drink beer on Facebook. It's going to happen. It's probably going to happen next weekend. But just not as a lifestyle, right? Are you, as a lifestyle, living out Arbonne's values at all? Like, you can progress in this. None of us are starting out perfect, but you should be progressing toward that. Are you learning more about that stuff? Because you can admit on Facebook, I do it all the time. In fact, people love when you admit on Facebook. Like, I'm not there yet. I didn't start to use Arbonne skincare because of the ingredient policy. I cared not a fig for the ingredient policy. Didn't care at all. But I was willing to learn, and I was willing to humble myself and listen to some things that people had to say, and then do more research and kind of move forward in that way. And it's great to tell people, even to be honest and say, listen, I didn't start here, but I'm progressing. And that's my wish for families, is that you progress from wherever you start. And some of you are starting so far ahead of me. You guys, I would go to spas and people were starting so far ahead of me in terms of their understanding of ingredient policy and stuff. And you know what you just say? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to get it for you. Like just progress. The idea is that you're going to progress. Like, are you joyful? Are you calm? Are you motivating? I'm thinking all this on social media in particular, because that's where you can reach such a huge amount of people, but also in your real life. Like I tell the girls on my team, when someone thinks about the most joyful person they know, the most positive person they know, I want them to think of you every time. When someone thinks about negative some person, how do you make people feel when you leave them? Like when you've like done with the conversation with somebody and you're just like, oh my God, that girl is bitter about everything. Don't let that be you. And it's like there's a perception that you can't join Arbonne and be that way. Oh, you can. And it's happened on my team. And you can grow again. You can grow from that, but make sure you are growing from that, from wherever you are. Shame is just not that useful of emotion. So if some of this is convicting to you, don't be like feeling ashamed and then feeling small and then like stuffing it down, right? Shame is not useful. Whatever it is, dig it up, hold it up to the light, because things will not, like shame won't exist in the light, right? It will not hold it. And then work on it. The only thing you can do is take full responsibility for literally everything in your life, whether it's your fault or not, and then move forward from that point. Just look at where you're at and move forward from that point. So those are the things I would really work on when you're getting between district and area kind of, or even consultant and area, consultant and district, is just who you are. Because Arbonne will work on who you are or you will leave. That happens every single time. I've never seen that not be true. It's amazing. Even people who start out being really, really, really negative, they stick with us for a long time because they want it. They want to be better. I can just see in people, we all want to grow. We need to know that we can be better. I actually think that's what keeps more people with Arbonne than anything else, because I've seen people who don't do very much, so then they don't have a very big paycheck, so it doesn't even make sense. They're with us because they need something we have. And I think that's one of the things they really need. They need to see people be intentional about their life, intentional about improving, not operating out of a place of shame and, oh my gosh, I'm such an awful person and blah, 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 blah. If I only had what she had. But operating out of a place of, we all have things, we have weaknesses, and we can grow from them, and we will grow from them. Like, watch me work on this. Let's work on this together. Let's be accountable to each other. People love that. So that's what I would do in that kind of position. Then between area and RVP, the things that I think made the biggest difference for me was, number one, doing more. So a lot of times I get area managers being like, no, you don't understand. I'm doing everything. I can't do more. Well, you can. So the month that I finished region, I did 23 in-person events myself for me, like not other people's stuff, my own personal events. Because if you want it to happen, you have to go to bed that night knowing I did literally everything I can. And the only thing that was going to give me comfort at that point is knowing that I did literally everything I could. And we ended up being way ahead of where we needed to be in terms of finishing region. But that was really important at the time. So just if you're doing 5 now, like at the time we were doing this, we were still on my team doing like in-person events, like spot parties. And I don't know what you guys are doing, what your system is. That's what the system was on my team at the time. On my team now, that's not what we're doing anymore. So just take this to be wherever, but just getting in front of more people. However it is, you can get in front of more people. Teach yourself to be better at that. More samples, more one-on-ones, more little fun things. Make stuff up. You guys, we made so much stuff up, like makeup and margaritas, mommy and me makeup, da-da-da-da-da-da. Come on over and get your picture taken with a photographer that I'm paying for and a makeup artist that I'm paying for. Like, you guys, we made things up left and right. But however you can get in front of people is always worth it, even though that night it might not translate to sales. So you can really, at that point in your business, kind of wrap your brain around the fact that you're playing a long range game, like a really long range game. So you're going to do things that will not translate into QV that day. I promise you, they will translate into QV in the future. So they're always worth doing. But the more people you can get in front of, like if you're doing 40 faces a month, that's what we were doing for a really long time. I want you to like do your damnedest to double that, to get in front of so many people, however you can do it, to participate in every single thing you can, and to be out there meeting new people. So a lot of people are like, woof, well, that's going to put me way out of balance. Yes, absolutely. I will say in the months when you are working toward a promotion and finishing a promotion, you cannot expect to have balance during those months, but you just understand that it's a season. It will ramp way back after you promote, I promise. It will not be like that forever. That's not how you need to work to be a regional vice president. That's how you need to work to get to be a regional vice president. So just keep in mind that feeling really out of balance in times of promotions is so normal, and it's to be expected, because you want to know what? You're doing something that I can't remember what percentage of the company gets to be an RVP, but it's a pretty darn small percentage. So you're going to have to act like many people would not act, or work like many people wouldn't work. You want to act like you, as per usual. And the second thing I think was really good, and that I see a lot of people be successful at, is asking where they can improve. So one of my vice presidents is the best at this. And this goes back to stop being ashamed of the places where you're weak, and just say to your upline, your VP, whoever, you feel like has the most experience to help you, say, okay, I'm coming to you because I want to know, what do you see in me, in my business, that I could do better? And you guys, it is a hard thing to do. And there's plenty of people on my team who's not been able to humble themselves to do this. But if you can humble yourself to do that, and if you can listen to the answer, not defensively, you will learn what somebody who is where you want to be can see in your business. We all have blind spots. And again, this goes back to, you can't just hear that and then feel badly and then let it slow you down. You hear it and you say, okay, how can I grow from here? So she's going to say something like, well, you know what? Your team is great. Your personal sponsoring looks kind of dead. What's up? And then she's going to say something like, okay, so let me see the messages you're sending to people. And then she's going to tear your messages apart and put them back together, and you're going to be better, right? And this all serves you, because I promise you, if you have an upline you know and trust, which you do, then she's never going to do anything to hurt you that's not in service of your business. Right? She needs you to be better. She wants you to be better just as much as you want to be better. So just keep that in mind. It's really hard to listen to, but this is something that I regularly do, and the other NVPs I know do really regularly too, because we all have places we can grow. No matter where you are, you can still grow. And sometimes it takes somebody else to take a look at your business, or to even take a look at your person, which is harder than your business, frankly, and tell you a little bit about where you can grow. So if you can say, what can I be doing better? I think that's a place where you can really make some improvements that, or even just like sometimes as a small tweak, you guys, it's like nothing. It's not always super dramatic, but make some changes that can help you grow into being a vice president. And the thing is, those things are going to serve you super well as an RVP. So it makes so much sense. And then I want to talk a little bit about not knowing your purpose. So a lot of times people are like, well, I like what I'm doing. I'm here with Arbonne. I like our mission and all that, but I don't know my purpose. Like everyone says, you need this why to make you cry and blah, blah, blah. I didn't have that either. You know, in the beginning, I thought I started this to help my husband pay off my law school debt. As it turns out, I am 0% motivated by that. Like, I could not get my hand up to reach the phone one time for that. Never. So that wasn't it. But Arbonne was giving me something already right away that I was motivated by. And for the longest time, I did not know what it was. I think a lot of it, like I said, was a sense of purpose, a sense of being able to meet a goal. You know, parenting, well, it's fantastic. It is a very long range game. So all the work you do today, you don't necessarily get to see today, or even like in 5 years. So you have to really have a good vision for parenting if you're going to be a stay-at-home parent and homeschool and stuff like that, because you're going to have to work very hard every day on things that you don't get to receive results from. So I thought maybe Arbonne was giving me something shorter term that I could be like, ooh, I became a district manager, you know, like, and then, I can get my DM bonus every month, you know, like stuff like that. And I still am motivated by that. But ultimately, I want to tell you a little story about kind of what happened. So that's how I was feeling. And this was all the way up through, I was an RVP. I was a bonusing RVP right away. We went to like 90,000 right away. Like, we were doing so great. So business-wise, things were going super great. I still didn't know my purpose. So if you are not an RVP yet, you still know your purpose, don't worry. Just keep working. It's going to come to you. But then we went to GTC, and now I think it was 2 years ago when Miranda Burcham filled in for Cecilia Stoll. Cecilia had a family emergency. I don't know if you remember this, for the keynote, and just kind of off the cuff gave this, just like this amazing, amazing talk. And just about how Arbonne allowed her to do a lot of things and put her into a position where she was both able to foster, but then taught her how she could speak to these foster children and speak life over them and teach them how to speak to themselves. So if any of you were there, maybe remember that. I think my entire team just kind of hysterically sobbed through the entire thing. And it was like, boom, this is what you should do. I don't want to say Jesus told me, but it was a little bit like that. And I went home, and what do you know, the next Sunday, what happened? Foster Sunday at my church, because this is the way these things work. And so my husband and I signed up to do this, and we ultimately became foster parents, right? So number one, I didn't know my purpose, and something that we did with Arbonne directly led me to what I felt like my purpose was with Arbonne. But then I also want to say, when we had these placements over the last couple of years, the people who have been all in with us, like really in the trenches, have been Arbonne people. We've been sent to crib. We've been sent money anonymously. One of people on our team set up this whole system of meals where I just called the restaurant any day I wanted to, and they delivered the meals to me, and they were all already paid for. Like, just these amazing, amazing things. And I have great friends from college and my sorority and things like that, but none of them were as all in as Arbonne people. Arbonne people are the best people. And I'm not saying that because they gave to me. I'm just saying because they are just the best encouragers. Like, they really understand what you need. They're good listeners, and they're really all in with you when you have something happen. And then what happened ultimately was our last placement, we got a newborn and his 2-year-old brother, and we were told it was an adoption case. And so we went through the whole thing with wanting to get an adoption lawyer and working with their mother and all this kind of stuff. And she ultimately later changed her mind, and she took them back within the space of about it was about 12 hours. And that was devastating for your family. Like, I just cannot describe how my entire family was so brokenhearted over this. It was a year ago now, and my kids still ask every single day. Like, they were just positive that those babies were part of our family forever. So when that happened, not only did a lot of Arbonne people really invest a lot of time in me, even people I didn't know very well who had just kind of been following us on Facebook, they sent me some of the best messages, not just like, we love you, we're praying for you, but like these huge, long written messages where they typed out whole passages of books and things. Like, they just were really there for us. But also, Arbonne gave us just the choice and the ability at the time. The only thing I could think of that was going to make my family feel better, I know this is so silly, is like running away. I just thought we have to go somewhere, because it was at the end of the school year when, you've got all these events. And so we kept going to these events, like the kids' closing night and the art night, and people would try and ask us about the babies, and like, I could not talk about it, and the kids couldn't talk about it. So I could buy a plane ticket, and I rented a house directly on the beach, and we went to Florida, and we were able to stay there until I felt like we had our stuff back together. And the only reason I was ever able to do that is because of Arbonne. It gave us both the income, and it gave us the opportunity, like the freedom to be able to leave and to do that. So I'm not saying this is going to like make your life perfect, because obviously it didn't fix that. Like, when you have something brokenhearted coming, it's not going to fix it. But it gave me the choice to do one thing that I knew would make my kids feel better. And that really is priceless to me. And so I just want to talk to you, like, if you don't know what your purpose is, and I really didn't, and not for a long time, not till even after I was a vice president, I think if you keep working your purpose will come to you. And then when you do know what it is, Arbonne will give you the ability, both financially and with your time choices, to be able to live that out. And that is really, just trust me, that will be priceless to you. So, that was a little melodramatic on that. Also, between AM and RVP, you start to be a leader. So start leading. That's when I started doing my own opportunity events. Before that, I had just been bringing people to our monthly meeting, but Nikki and I live quite a bit from each other, and we had people driving 3 hours one way to like come to opportunities and stuff. And that was just bananas. So I just started doing my own, and it was scary. And I'm going to tell you, it is crickets for a long time. So if you start doing opportunities and there's like one person, normal, just tell yourself, this is normal. This is what I expected. I'll tell you, all the opportunities I've ever done with one person, that person has joined our team. So it's worth doing, but just start leading, just keeping the faith. Again, I just really understanding you are on the path you should be on. It can feel like a long road in between some positions, and it's understanding that you are doing the right thing. And if you follow the system, whatever your business plan is, you will get to where you're going. But a lot of times it's like a 2-step back, 1 step forward type situation, and just always having your mind fixed on knowing that this is what is to be expected. Nothing you're doing is wrong. This is to be expected. And then really developing the sense that believing this is the, for everybody, like when in an interaction with people, train yourself to believe the best possible explanation for something. I think that's such a key thing to do when you are an area manager wanting to be a vice president, because here's what happens when you become a vice president. 50% of your day will be everyone coming to you, handing you their crap. Bad customer service interactions, their clients are mad about something, they can't sponsor, they can't do this, everything's canceling, they're having people problems, their husband's mad at them, blah, 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 blah. Because you've grown your team by then, you hear from a lot of people, and because you're the ultimate authority, those people bring their problems to you, as they well should, and you have to teach yourself, no matter what is going on, to believe the very best possible situation, whatever it could be, the best possible explanation for every single situation. It will serve you so well to train yourself at that point to do it before you get to be a vice president, and then to really work on any mindset issues. Every single one of us has mindset issues. For a lot of people, I did not see them pop up. One of my vice presidents, I did not see her mindset issues pop up at all until the month she was finishing her VP promotion. Your vice president will find and see them for you, and just being willing to work on those really hard when she does is worth a lot, because you will have to deal with them ultimately, eventually, no matter what. So that is that. Then between RVP and NVP, kind of quicker. You know, a lot of people say, like, when did you decide? When did you make the decision to become an MVP? Never. The day I started, probably. I never had one of those, like, come to Jesus's where, okay, I'm ready to become an RVP. I'm ready to become an MVP. That never happened for me. I wanted everything from the very beginning. I was really just running at that the whole time. Some of it took longer than others. I didn't do anything differently. Like, I didn't have any magic in between the two. So I was an RVP for 2 years and 2 months before I became an MVP for no reason. I wasn't doing anything differently. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't doing anything bad. I wasn't doing anything less. It just took that long. It took that long. And it's good because there's a lot of growing to be done. So you need to grow in your vision and your leadership. I'm not a vision person. So I'm on Danielle Lover's team, if you guys know her. And there was twice in the last year she came to me with these ideas about something. I said, that is never going to happen. That's not even possible. I was wrong both times. So just really increasing your vision, learning how to be a vision caster, learning what is possible, because you're given the title of MVP because you can see more from your experience than other people can, you know, so that when you're looking at it and they're saying, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to be an RVP this year. You just understand that the leap between like 17 and 40 is not a 3-year thing. It might have taken them 3 years to get to area, but you understand that leap is like maybe 2 or 3 months. You know, it's just having better vision. Developing the skill of being cheerful. So what we call this on my team is, how cheerful can you be in the face of the fact that like ... How cheerful can you be in the face of the fact that, you know, for every 10 people you add to your team, only one person will ever do anything? How cheerful can you be in the face of the fact that, you know, anything, that you will be like the holder of everybody's problems? How cheerful can you be in the face of the fact that, you know, when you send out 100 messages today, you will get 3 replies back? That's your whole job. Like, cheerfully persisting, your whole job. At my nation celebration, my team made me wine bottles with like things they hear me say a lot. That's one of the things that was on the wine bottles, because that really is truthfully your whole job. If you can be cheerful on the outside and like work toward being cheerful on the inside, that will take you really far. Consistent interaction. So one of the things I did really improve between regional vice president and MVP was how consistently I interacted. So I was running my team from a Facebook Messenger thread all the way up until I became an MVP. We weren't using a Facebook group or page. We were using a Messenger thread, and that was great because it was a really good conversation. We still have it. We still use it because it allows them to have a great conversation. But eventually Danielle had made me like a Rally to Nation Facebook group. And every morning when I woke up, I would get up at 5 and I would post in that group, be the first thing I did every day when we were promoting. And that's something I continued on after we did become a nation. And now I think it's something that they really value, is that they hear from me every single day about something. And sometimes it's like just a cute little motivational graphic, and sometimes it's a more involved post. But I think really consistent interaction with your team is super, super important. That's besides all the things like on the first of the month, I get all their goals from them. In the middle of the month, I check in on their goals. So that's besides all that other coaching stuff that's going on, just randomly doing that. Same with my closed group for clients and preferred clients. I got to be really consistent posting there every day. I probably only been posting once a week, and I just got to be a much more consistent poster. I started to invest a lot more deeply, both in my team, in their stories, in training them. So to me, I'm really independent. And if you told me, okay, you're going to send follow-up messages today, here's exactly what they should say, that feels patronizing to me. Like that would have really made me mad. But what I found is that I was coaching people how I wanted to be coached. And as a leader, you can't do that. This is like loving people how you want to be loved, and then they don't feel loved because you're not loving them how they need to be loved. Same with coaching. So what I found is that my team actually wants me to write the message for them. They want me to tell them exactly what to say. Not every single person on my team, but a solid like above 90% really just want that. So I just had to understand that even though I'm really independent, that's not how most people want to be coached. And my way of leading was leaving a lot of people who want to work and who are hard workers in a place where they didn't feel ready to operate on their own yet. And so just really understanding that, like digging way deeper into my team, hanging on to them way longer than I would have ever wanted to be actively trained, that kind of thing has been really, really helpful. Just the understanding that I need to coach in a way that I don't want to be coached in was really helpful. And then being a truth teller. On your way to vice president, you are going to have to put on your big girl panties and have some really hard conversations with people, not in a reactive way, not because they made you mad, but because you see something in them that is holding them back consistently. So I had somebody on my team who is among the most negative people I've met my entire life. It was so hard, but she was an area manager and she was wanting to move to region, and things came up and people would say, oh, Shannon, you got a problem there. And I was like, I know, but I wanted to be nice. I wanted to be nice to her. I wanted to be friendly with her. I didn't want to be her leader. But eventually I realized, oh, this is why they're paying you to be a leader. So I had to call her and say, hey, Nicole, can I stop being your friend for a second and talk to you about something kind of hard? And that scared the pants off of her, but she said yes. And I just said, here's something that I see is going on, and you should never bring other people into this when you do this. You should really it always comes from you, always all about you, not people have been saying, not anyone agrees with me. I was so tempted to say, like, we see, because I wanted like the support of other VPs with me. But you have to say, here's something I see going on. Can we work on this? And then be ready. Like, do you have a suggestion for a book? Do you have suggestions for SoundClouds? I think here's some things that could be helpful, And I will tell you, we both cried during that conversation. It is so hard for me to look you in the face and hurt your feelings, even if it's for your own good. And it's very hard for most people to hear something that they, number one, probably know about themselves, and number two, already feel ashamed about. But you can guide them. Don't leave them where they are. Say, like, this is no big deal. We have weaknesses, every single one of us. I want to help you build your business around this, because most people are good enough at what they're good at to build a huge business before they even need to start looking at their negatives. So anyway, just get ready to be a truth teller in very specific times, in a very specific way. Be very intentional about it. Make those conversations very private, never reacting. Like, you're not reacting because they pissed you off, right? But just get ready for that. It's a tough part of being a leader, but again, that's why they pay you that override, is because you're doing something more than selling. You are learning how to lead. So that was super important. And then just trusting yourself. So we are right now in our success line, leading group for for people between RVP and MVP, and there's like 17 of them, I think. And we said, like, as an opener, okay, we want you to tell us, like, what is holding you back? Like, what is your deepest fear about becoming an MVP? And do you know what, like, every single one of them said? They said, I am not a good enough leader. People will find out that I am not a good enough leader. Every single stinking one of them said that. And you know that that cannot possibly be true about every single one of them, right? And I'll tell you, because I know them personally, it's not true. Nobody sees them like that, but that's the way we see ourselves. And so I think you have to really work on trusting yourself, being confident in what you have to offer, being confident in your leadership is half of it. Then the other half of it is, you guys want to know what? MVP is nothing different than RVP. You're going to wake up on the day you go MVP and you're going to be the exact same flipping person. You will have no more magic skills. You're not going to be a better trainer. You're not going to be a better leader. You're not going to be better at anything than when you went to bed the day before. You won't. You'll be better than when you're an area manager, probably, only because you've grown as you work toward the promotion, right? By going through the situations that come up. But you are not going to be better, and you're not going to be different. All of us, the MVPs that I know, are flying by the seat of our pants. We are working really hard. We don't have balance. We don't have it all together. I think 99% of us would describe ourselves as a hot mess, right? Like, there's nothing special. There is no magic to being an MVP. We're not a magical kind of people. So if you can get your mind around that your same old you, who you are today, are going to be just fine as an MVP, because that's all the rest of us are too. Just same old us we were yesterday, like wearing sweatpants on the bottom that haven't been washed in 3 weeks. Like, I'm going to put some dry shampoo in my hair and go do this call real quick right now. There have been times when I've been doing something like this where I put on makeup at like 7:59 for the call and then washed it off at 8:15. Like, this is how everybody feels. And once you really understand that and you start to be confident and trust yourself, I think that's a really key thing that you get to do between like RVP and MVP. Okay, and then almost done. The last thing, Missy asked me to talk to you guys about what I brought home from Maui. And that was a really cool thing. So this was my first Maui because, like she said, I did just become an MVP. And one big thing I brought home was the heart of home office for us. So I got some recognition in Maui. And one of the things I was recognized for was promoting out the most direct district managers and all that, area managers, whatever, putting out the most direct promotions last year. And because of that, I got to have a private dinner with Ashley Good. And I had never gotten to spend any amount of time talking to her before. I know, like many of us, like you see her sometimes, but you don't really get to spend a lot of time talking to her. So I got to sit with her at dinner and talk to her for the space of a whole dinner. And I will tell you, they are, number one, women just like you, moms, working their pants off, really working their pants off, so that we can be successful. And just through talking to her, I just saw the sacrifices that she's making in terms of life with her kids, life with her family, so that she can figure out ways to make us more successful. She wants to be so all in with us, which is how she's replying to stuff on Facebook and Instagram, right? Like, she's posting her own Instagram stuff on her personal page about Arbonne. She really, really, really loves us. So I just really saw the heart behind home office in the ways that they want us to be successful. And I think if you want to continue with Arbonne, if you want to be an Arbonne lifer, it is really important to understand that and just have that settled. Because you know what? They're going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to do a lot of things that we do not understand because they're coming at it from a corporate perspective. They're not coming at it from the field. So they do a lot of things that even I don't understand. But just having the opportunity to really interact with the home office and just see them as they are and hear why they do things and what they want to know, it just really made me feel very settled in the fact that they are all in. They are quite literally sacrificing their family time in the same way that you do to build our businesses. It's the most important thing to them. So that was a really big thing. And then just understanding that we are nowhere near where we will be as a company. So even though Arbonne feels like a pretty big company, we're not. We're a little bit of a tiny fish in the industry, and we are going to be much, much bigger, I think probably even in the next 5 years. So I've already been with Arbonne for 3.5. I know many of you have been here even longer than that. I think when we wake up 5 years from now, we are going to be amazingly huge in a great way. And that leaves so much space for you guys to become vice presidents and also to kind of invite the people in who are going to be vice presidents. That's one thing I forgot to say. If you are feeling kind of frustrated, if you're an area manager, I just wanted to tell you, both the two vice presidents on my team who were direct to me, neither one of them was in my business before I was an RVP. So sometimes it helps to know that somebody's like, who's your ace? Who's your ace? Who's your ace? And you're like, I don't really know. They're all kind of good. They're good district managers. I don't know. They might not be in your business yet. You can be very successful without even having those people in your business yet. But just understanding the vision for this, we met so many people in Maui who went from 0 to nation in 1 year, you guys. Not like one girl, not like 2 girls. We met a ton of girls. And that's not everybody's story. So if that's not you, don't let that make you feel like pressury and feel bad. Because a lot of people have told me, well, that's not what I want. Like, that's not going to be my story. That's completely fine. On the other hand, though, there are people out there waiting for you to say, hey, have you ever thought about doing what I do? There's a lot of people who are waiting for you to say that. And you might ask those people who do want to go that quickly, who do want to go in a year, because people do want what we have to offer. They are looking for this opportunity. We are so different from other companies in our industry. And if you don't know the ways that we're different, go and ask. Make sure you ask Missy about that and you get it really straight in your head. We are not the same. It's not like us or Rodan and Fields. They are in different ballparks. We are nothing like each other structurally. I'm not talking about products. I'm talking about in terms of the opportunity. And you have to be really confident about that. But there are so many people out there who will be with us. And I hope they're going to be on your team. That's what's the most exciting thing for me, is just seeing their plans for us and seeing what they expect us to do in the next 5 years is just amazing. Like, my vision for this has been so huge now because I've just got to meet all of these people, like Missy said, from all different walks of life. Like, there's all kinds of doctors, there's all kinds of lawyers, there's all kinds of this, there's all kinds of this, there's all kinds of this. Don't prejudge anybody. There's no, well, no, I was about to say there's nobody who this isn't right for. That's a lie. There's totally people who this isn't right for. Mean people, bitter people, negative people, angry people, lazy people. I don't want any of those. But your other circumstances, single, married, gay, straight, black, white, yellow, brown, don't care. Don't care how old you are. Don't care how many kids you have. Don't care what you do for a living. None of those things am I ever going to allow myself to prejudge, because we met people who started this for all kinds of reasons. And that was probably the best thing for me. So that was a lot, you guys. And I know that I'm a super fast talker. I don't know if I hit on all kinds of things that are helpful to you, not any kinds of things that were helpful to you. But if you have questions, I'll totally do Q&A too. I usually do that at the end because I know I'm a fast talker. But besides that, thanks for listening.
Awesome. Man, I love how fast you talk, because I was like, she is cranking us full of information and so good. I mean, there were several things that I was like, wow, really, really good. One of the things I would love, because I thought it was interesting that you used the products for 5 years before you became a part of the culture as far as a business. So I know you said like, Nikki came and did the party, but was there, and that you didn't really have like this big why that made you cry, or this kind of like vision of a purpose, but was there anything that just was like going from I've used the products for 5 years to now I want to build a business? Because once you decided, you know, your journey really has been relatively quick, and there was a decision of commitment. It wasn't just like, oh, I've decided to build a business, and then 8 years later, you know, I'm still using the products, and then you decide to build a business. Like, it sounds like from the moment you decided to say yes to Arbonne, it was a decision to commit to the process. So was it something that came up in a conversation with her? Was it a need on any level? I just would be curious if you knew what that was.
No, you know, this is such a hard one for me because I really want there to be a great story, and there's not. She did not ask me to join the business. This is something I make fun of her for all the time now. She said she had wanted to, but she like, I need to be ready. And she's correct about that. I'm the kind of person who needs to be my own idea. I don't know. I think I just thought, well, if she can do this, I can do this, but I can't explain why this or why Arbonne. Like, it could have, I mean, it probably could have just as easily been anything else. Now, I had been thinking about starting my own business of some kind because my brain needed more to do. And I know that sounds horrible, but I was at home with little people all day. A lot of times I was not seeing my husband at all. So I was really like alone. And I think just like there was just a part of my brain that like needed more to do. I love my babies, and that's probably, I had 5 of them because I just have a really high capacity. But anyway, but then I didn't have any skills. So I guess I had been kind of thinking about starting a business. I had 0 skills. No art, no sports. I just had no skill. And obviously I was not going to go back to work because I was homeschooling. I had 5 babies. It made 0 sense. So I don't know. I was kind of thinking about it, but I had nothing to do. So that part of it was there. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, and I did have a blog for a long time, and I had been writing my blog, and I worked really hard on it. And I think I made like $9 in 4 years. So that was obviously not going to be an income avenue for me, because I didn't want to do like affiliate linking. Like it was starting to be the time where like all the way you made money on a blog was like our style and affiliate linking and stuff. And that was not what I did. Like I wrote about our family life and farming and stuff like that. And I continued to enjoy writing, but that was obviously not going to be an income thing for me. So no, I wish there was a great answer. I really do.
No, I love it. What I appreciate about you sharing that is I just think about, like, for me, but also for other people on my team, of just those people that are just using the products right now. And they're not necessarily presenting themselves as like a PC, or they're not necessarily presenting themselves as a host. They're just there, but just realizing how much they are watching us. And that attractiveness of the joy and the cheerfulness and the normalness and the not weird really does speak to them. So do you guys have any questions, Lori or Shauna, or I can't see who else is on?
Yeah, I have a quick question. This is Lori Huffman.
Hi, Lori.
Hi. One of the things I put a star by as I was frantically page after page, it was awesome, lots of stuff. The idea of coach, how people need to be coached, I thought that was really insightful. It's kind of like the love languages.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How did you figure out that you were coaching in the wrong way? Because I think there's some things, I tend to be probably more hands-off than I should, but that's just typically how I work a little bit. But understanding who needs what and what type of coaching, how did you figure that out aside from just bluntly asking them? And some people may not know what motivates them.
Yeah, well, it came down to basically, for a long time, I was good enough at what I was good enough at that I was duplicating, but I was duplicating people like me, which again was great because I was a runner. And so that was great. But then I became a nation, and you can look at your team, and I had probably like 300 people on my team, and they were sticking with me. They were renewing their IDs, but they weren't necessarily moving. And I didn't really know why, because I was very successful at producing leaders, but there was a lot of people who were with us and not doing a whole lot, but they wanted to be with us. And like, they'd come to meetings and stuff, but they didn't do a whole lot. And I was like, well, they must want something. And it really came down to, I think one day, like I said, I post every day. When we were going nation, I started sharing exactly what I write in messages. I started saying, here's exactly what I write. And people were so thrilled. Like, they were delighted. And I was like, really? Like, you guys want me to tell you what to write? And they were like, yes, it is so hard for me to craft a message. And I was like, oh, huh. And then it just really led me to understand that I was leaving a lot of people behind. There were people who wanted me to still be doing events with them, even after they were district managers. There were people, a lot of people, who became district managers, but did not know how to sponsor, like did not know how at all. And I just kind of, like I said, that kind of thing felt like insulting to me. Like, it would have bugged the heck out of me if Nikki were still doing events for me. I just have never been that way. But I had a huge team full of people, and a lot of them weren't me. And I wanted to help people whose personality was not like me move. And I mean, it takes a little bit of also people saying, like, I feel like we're leaving some people behind. I feel like some people whose personalities are not like you can't see themselves as a leader because they think leaders only look like you. And I'm like, no, I can see that. Like, you can see how it is, especially if you get a team of VPs where your personalities are pretty similar. And Nikki and I have similar personalities. That is hard for people whose personality is not like that to see themselves as a leader. And you don't want that, like, you don't want the only leaders on your team to be like you. I really believe that while that is good enough in so many ways to get you almost everywhere, there will come a time where it actually serves your team as a whole so much better if your leaders are very different from you. You want them to have strengths you don't have. At this point, I'm actively looking for leaders who are strong in ways that I'm not. I'm serious, because that is the only way to be strong. If we're all strong in the same ways, then we're all weak in the same ways. And that leaves some pretty big parking space size weaknesses for our team to like have holes punched all over it. And I want those to be filled by people, So when we're really doing something like, you see this especially when you're like organizing a retreat, which you probably are not at the point in your business where you have to be the one doing that yet. But like, there's one of us who's really good at graphics, and there's one of us who's really good at gifts, and there's one of us who's really good at organization. So she can take care of the hotel block and organizing the food with hotel and this. And there's some people who suck at organization. They don't answer their Voxers, they but you can tell them beginning, here's this job. They will show up with the job done, but they will not be helpful in the middle, right? Like, you can just really see how the strengths of a lot of different people serve you really, really well on a kind of like more global scale at a team later. So sorry, that was long-winded, but.
No, that's great. Thank you.
I have another question, but does anybody else have another question before I ask my question? Okay, so my question is, one of the things I love that you said was when you were talking about consistency, that you're very focused, very consistent, very unemotional, which made me laugh. Because I think that those are all awesome things. But you were just saying, like, did you ever go to people on your team who were maybe in that place of inconsistency that you saw and say, like, without them really asking you, did you kind of just say like, hey, this is what I'm seeing? Or did you wait for them to say? Because I think that that can be a hard place for anybody who's sponsored, even just one person. You know, we've all sponsored at least one person, and then it's like, no, they're not really doing what I thought they wanted to do, or they're not going where they said they wanted to go at the beginning. And I don't really know why, because I've given them all the tools and we have the system in place, and like, we have the Facebook page, we have our own website, like it's all there. So do you recommend, like, say, even if it's a district manager that has consultants, do you say like, hey, have a conversation and say like, hey, I'm just noticing a lot of inconsistency? Or do you wait for them, for that consultant or maybe that district manager to recognize that in themselves?
Both. So I usually wait till you come complain to me about something, which is going to happen every single time. People who are inconsistent will come complain. Well, I've asked 10 people. No one said yes. Well, I tried to book today. It didn't work. And I'm like, okay, what'd you do yesterday? Okay. What did you do before that? And they're like, oh, well, I was busy. I know. Like, and then you just hand it back to them. So I don't let people come complain to me who don't actually want to work on problem solving for themselves. Like, I just hand the responsibility back. That's what you got to do. You have to hand the responsibility back to them all day long, because the only way that they're going to be motivated is through their own sense of what they need to do, you know? But also, I usually ask people a couple of questions at the beginning of every month, like, what's your goal from this month? You know, like, what are you going to do to make that happen? Like, what's your action plan? What are your obstacles to achieving the things you say you're going to achieve, right? Like, and then what motivates you? Like, what is your why this month? What is the thing you want this month? Not in general, not globally. Like, what's the thing you want this month? How are you motivated? Like, and sometimes people are like, I want a new vacuum. And I'm like, good, great. Let's do that. How much does the vacuum cost? Okay, let's figure this out. You're going to need to do about this. You know, wouldn't it be great if you got your DM bonus? There's another $200 right there, you know, like that. So that's something I do with them all the time. But there also is a point where I really believe in my heart that everybody knows what their weaknesses are. I really believe. I know they know. It is not a secret to them that they're inconsistent. So sometimes people come to you and they'll complain, and then they'll say, yeah, you know, like, I was really inconsistent last month. And I'm like, okay, good. What are you going to do different? You know, like, I don't go all in with them in the bitching and moaning session. Like, I don't like vent with them. I just am like, okay, so what are you going to do?
Awesome. I love your demeanor. You crack me up. I think you should get on Facebook often and just have chats with us. We would watch you and listen to you. Does anybody else have any questions or places of clarification on anything that Shannon shared? It's so good, so rich, and this is like a training I'll watch a lot. So awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, lady, for hopping on tonight. And you have just so poured into us and so given us many, many, many nuggets. And I'm really just so grateful for you and just how generous you've been with lots of things towards us and just some of those new things we're implementing. So I'm pumped about all of that. So thank you again. So thanks everybody for hopping on. I'm going to